Hello everybody, it's Michael from Replica Airguns with another tabletop review video for you. Today we're looking at the Umarex Beretta Model 92A1, and this is a CO2 Blowback 4.5mm BB pistol. And I finally got my hands on one to review for you, so let's get on with this tabletop video. This gun is available in our Canada Replica Airgun store, so check us out at replicaairguns.ca for that one. If you haven't already noticed, it is a replica of the Beretta Model 92A1. This pistol is made in Taiwan and distributed by Umarex. It does come in this nice box with the manual and Allen key. I'll just show you that right now so we can get the box out of the way. Alright, so here's the box. Alright, we have 310 FPS, claimed 18 rounds, full metal, steel BB. Look at that, eh? Full auto and blowback. Let's look at the back. Kind of hard to get in here, but we'll see if we can. Alright, so you can see more specifications. There's your full semi-auto switch. We'll take a look at that in a bit. Alright, okay, let's get the box out of the way. I did mention it came with an Allen key and manual, so we'll show you that too. This is inside the box, obviously. Right, you got your traditional Allen key, and that's just simply to tighten up your CO2 to pierce it. And of course, our token manual. Umarex always does a nice job with their manuals, illustrations, and getting everything right. No, you're gonna learn how to add your CO2, adjust different things, right? Obviously, full auto, semi-auto, properly aim your gun, do's and don'ts, all that kind of stuff, loading, you name it. All right, let's go over some of the specifications right now. Again, as you saw on the box, it is semi and full auto selectable, kind of similar to the GSG92 or the KWC M92. I'm also going to go on the record and say that it's going to have a really strong blowback action, and I say that because the slide spring is really heavy on this pistol, and the slide's got good weight to it as well. So that's going to attribute to, I'm pretty sure, some good heavy blowback action. And the slide does lock back after the last shot, and the Umarex Model 92A1 is a pretty much all metal built design. It also uses 12 gram CO2 cartridges, shoots 4.5mm steel BBs, has an 18 shot full size dropout metal magazine with a smooth bore 4.5 inch barrel, and this gun shoots in single and double action. Umarex claims it has a velocity of around 310 FPS, and again, it's fully Beretta licensed through Umarex. Let's compare this gun to some other guns I have that are similar in nature. Of course, we're going to talk about the GSG 92 or Cybergun Model 92, right? So you can see they do look a lot the same, slightly different. I'm not exactly 100% sure who makes this gun for Umarex, because I don't believe Umarex is actually making this gun. If we can get it to focus. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. But I have a feeling it's KWC. That's who I'm thinking makes it. Just because of the sort of finish and stuff, and the boxes that it comes in, that kind of stuff. I'm thinking that it's KWC. It is not an exact, basically, rebrand of the 92. You'll see it has different safeties on it, right? The magazines are quite different, and they don't fit in each other. So you'll notice, like, it just doesn't fit. You know, I took the slide off, and I'll be taking the slide off. You'll see that one just doesn't quite go in all the way, right? It just doesn't work. The slides, if you look at them internally, there's some differences inside. I don't think the slides will mix and match either. I got this going on the wrong way. There we go. Let's get them in the right guns. So, you know, it is different, right? There's definitely a lot of similarities, right? But not 100%. Both of them have that, you know, full blowback action. But this new Umarex Beretta has just a really heavy slide spring, so it's going to be, you know, pretty hefty. And I'm feeling it's going to have good blowback too. All right, another gun I wanted to show you is the KJ Works 92A1, and this is their version of the 92A1. This is an airsoft pistol. Okay, it looks very, very similar. Obviously, it's got the right safeties and everything, and you know, mostly it's even licensed. Or not quite licensed, but it looks like it's licensed. Got the same sort of insignias, right? This is the KJ Works version, so it is unlicensed. Just a plain slide. Okay, no markings or anything on it. But, you know, very similar. Again, the magazines don't work in each other's guns. Slides are different. If you look at them, when you take them apart, you'll see that the slide, everything's a little bit different internally. You know, even though they do look very similar on the outside, they're a little different on the inside. Alright, at this point, let's do a quick walk around, then I'll field strip it for you guys. Alright, so you can see this nice Beretta licensing. It's just written on, it's not engraved or anything. Alright, we have our takedown lever here. We have our slide catch release working. Alright. We have our safety. It's ambidextrous. This gun does shoot in single and double action. You know, pretty decent single action trigger. A little bit of take up. There's your magazine release, more Beretta licensing. Again, here's your magazine, right? You've got your BB hole there, so you don't have to get this down. Another tight spring. So there's your loading BB hole there. I guess you could put them through the top, but just as easy to put them through the bottom. Right, there's your CO2 valve, and of course your CO2 screw with the Allen key that comes with it for tightening your CO2. Now on this gun you don't see the CO2 at all, which is kind of cool. Whereas with the GSG92, if I can get this open, you got these little cutout windows. I guess the CO2 kind of pops through there. I imagine this magazine might be just slightly thicker. Okay, put that back in. Actually, let's take a look right down through the gun, right through the mag well. Let's look at the other side. Unfortunately, you do have this sort of ugly writing here, warning instructions, but that's sort of typical of Umarex guns. Probably just don't want to get any lawsuits or things like that. Got your serial number, right? You can see that the barrel is recessed. Again, Beretta markings. There is your full auto, semi-auto switch. Okay. Now it's going to eat a lot more CO2, obviously, when you go full auto mode. Probably only get 2 or 3 mags tops. There's your safety again. You do have a Picatinny rail on the bottom here. Right. White dot sights front and back. Alright. So let's do a quick field strip. Said I'd do it, might as well. Okay, we're gonna put this gun, take the mag out as we did. We're gonna just pop this takedown lever and off she comes. That's about all I'm gonna do. I mean, you can take out all these parts fairly easily. Now, looking here, I can see a hop-up adjustment. See it right there. See that little guy? That to me looks like it's a hop-up adjustment. Right? Looks to me like it. So there might be some potential hop-up adjustments you can do with this gun. A lot of these blowback type airsofty blowback guns do have a little rubber, I call it almost a retaining rod in the top of the barrel that does give the BB some backspin, but typically on these BB guns, the 4.5 millimeters, they're non-adjustable. So the amount of backspin is non-adjustable. Kind of one of the purposes of that rod is to hold the BB in place so it doesn't roll out of the barrel, because as the slide comes back and forward, it cycles around or chambers around into the breech area. And if you didn't have that rod, that little rubber rod in there, the BB would just roll out the barrel, especially if you had your gun pointed down. So because of that, it's sort of a built-in hop-up system, right? And you know, it looks like it might be adjustable on this gun. I'd have to read the manual more in detail, but that's what it looks like to me. And so pretty cool. That means you can adjust your hop up a little bit, maybe get some further out ranges with this gun if you want to shoot it a little longer distance. On targets, you're going to get less of that trajectory arc from the BB because the BB is going to have backspin. Alright, I haven't actually shot this gun yet, but that's definitely on the to-do list. I do want to make a field test shooting video for this gun. I'm very excited to shoot it, but But so far, based on my experience with similar guns like the GSG-92, the KWC 1911s, and I believe this gun is made by KWC, don't quote me on it, but if it is in fact made by KWC, then this pistol will shoot similar to the GSG-92 or model M92. So that said, this is what you can expect. Now this gun, even though it's similar to those guns, has the heaviest slide spring I've seen in a blowback BB air gun. So I'm expecting pretty heavy blowback action because that slide's going to take quite a bit of blowback to get it back with that heavy spring, and it's a decent weight slide to it as well. Now the velocity should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 to 330 FPS, and shooting in semi-auto, you'll probably get 3 to 4 decent magazines if you space them out, give the gun a little bit of time to warm up. If you're shooting in full auto, you'd be lucky to get 2, maybe 3 magazines. Again, let the magazine warm up a bit between shooting it again. But full auto is definitely going to use up a lot more CO2. Accuracy should be similar to these other 1911s and M92s, right? So you're going to get somewhere between 2 to 4 inch groupings using a decent rested position from about 30 feet out. Now the trigger is pretty nice. It's like a lot of these Berettas. It's single action and double action. In single action mode, it is definitely lighter, and it has that typical little bit of Beretta take up before the release. In double action, it is definitely heavier but not unusable. You're not really going to be shooting in double action much anyways. Maybe if you decock the gun and just want to fire off that first round, then you'll be shooting in double action. The rest will be single action. All right, let's get into some of the pros and the cons. It's nice that you have your choice of being able to shoot in either semi or full auto, although I would probably recommend you shoot mainly in semi-auto. Again, you're going to eat up a lot of CO2, and you're just going to be done shooting so quick. You know, it'll be nice to use that full auto once in a while, but for the most part, you're probably going to want to shoot in semi-auto. It is, as you can see, a nice replica of the original Beretta 92 A1. It has a nice weight and feel to it with its all-metal design, and the fit and the finish is very good. We'll have to see how it wears over time. And again, it does have that strong slide spring, so you should have pretty decent blowback action. I'm expecting it to have some of the heaviest blowback action I've seen so far. And all the parts work pretty much like you'd find on a real 92A1. Realistic working safety, slide catch release, magazine release, all those mechanical parts function like you'd expect, including being able to field strip it and potentially adjust the hop up. I like that it has a full-size dropout metal magazine that holds the BBs and the CO2, and that it's fully Beretta licensed through Umarex. Alright, there's always a couple cons, so let's get them out of the way. You're probably going to eat a lot of CO2, especially in full auto mode with this gun. Most of these full blowback BB guns eat CO2 anyways, so you're going to use a lot of CO2. You're not going to get super high FPS with them. But 300 to 330 is perfectly fine for shooting cans down at 30 to 40 feet away, no problem. You'll put a hole in both sides. The satisfaction factor is going to be just fine with that type of FPS rating. Now the sights are non-adjustable on this pistol, but that's kind of to be expected. It's pretty common with this type of gun. And unfortunately, it does have that ugly white warning instruction writing on the right-hand side of the slide. Alright, that wraps up this review for the Umarex Beretta Model 92A1 CO2 Blowback 4.5mm BB pistol. Don't forget, we do have this gun available in our Canada Replica Airgun store, so check us out at replicaairguns.ca. Also, come on down to replicaairguns.com where we have articles, posts, reviews. I'll have a written review for this gun with additional photos for you to check out, so come on down there and check us out at replicaairguns.com. We also have our Canada and US online Replica Airgun stores where we sell air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, blank guns, pellet guns, knives, and other accessories. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.